Hi guys, so me and my son, yeah, we've been playing HeroQuest about the past 3 years. Actually love the game. As you can see, I have most of the add-ons, which is great. And I do obviously like making a lot of extra things for HeroQuest. So you can see these little diorama boxes I've made. And I recently picked up the Wizards of Morcar. I'll be doing a video soon showing me painting all the miniatures in one afternoon. I like making things to sort of help enhance the game, the playing of the game, and just the visual sort of stuff of the game. And that's why I've made these, well, as you can see, looking like books. But these books obviously hold a little secret. And that secret is, yeah, obviously they're not really books. Right, let's clear my desk and, well, take a little look at what I've made. So as you can see, they look pretty cool in a nice little line together. But each one, well, each one holds your hero miniature, but not just the miniature. It'll hold your dice, your character sheet, pencil, and any extra cards you get for obviously all those important, well, accessories, extra bits of armor, weapons, and all the rest. And this is what I'm going to show, well, how I made this, and how you can get your hands on one of these guys. So yeah, I will be making these to sell, but I'm also going to be putting the STLs that I've made of these over on my Patreon page, as obviously a reward for everyone that's, well, been over there and supporting the channel. So as you can see, yeah, good old magnets. I do like to get them involved, so my little character won't fall about or get bashed. But yeah, so this is what I made. I say, obviously, my 3D modeling skills are very poor and limited, but I made this in good old Tinkercad. I might make a video showing how I made it, but it is quite simple, really. It was just a case of making a block and then taking bits away. But as you can see, everything fits in just perfectly. Obviously, orange is my favorite color, so that's why I've got orange for my character. So this is mine. I like to play Dave the Barbarian, and my son, he's a wizard, because obviously he likes doing spells and all the rest. And his character is called Lizard Wizard. So obviously I've made a box like this just for his character. The great thing is how I've made this box. I can make this for, well, any of the hero characters. So if you did want to buy a box and there's a particular hero you want, then yeah, let me know as well. I can make that too. So to obviously make this, or to start to make this, the first thing I needed to do was to work out the size I needed. I didn't want to make it too big because I do like the idea of things being around about the sort of A5 size, so or even A6 maybe. So the biggest thing I've got here is the character sheet. So that's kind of what I'm using as a reference as, well, the larger part that needs to be stored in this box. And then obviously the miniature, the cards, and the dice. It just happened that there was a bit of room sort of at the top, and that's why I thought, well, yeah, we can get a little pencil in. So this is the sort of size that it's going to be. And I say I'm using the package Tinkercad. It's totally free online, relatively basic, but it does what I need it to do. As in, you can make shapes, as you can see along the right hand side there. You make the shapes, but then you can take bits away. So these are all the bits that I've made. Some of them are obviously they're kind of like templates, starter bits, or test bits, I should say. So yeah, so a lot of this I was sort of making it up as I went along, which is why it was difficult for me to sort of film how I made it. But I can, if you guys want to see the video, I can have a go at videoing myself making it by almost working backwards, which is what I'm going to show a little bit here. So obviously I've got my box here, but I can go backwards. And then you can see the bits that I've taken away. So it is literally a case of it was like one solid block, and then I just cut bits out by making other shapes, which you make hollow or holes, and then yeah, then bits get cut out of the main bit. Not sure if I've explained that very well, but I will do a video if you guys want to. It'll only be a short video because there's not really a lot to explain. But yeah, guys, go check out Tinkercad. Say it's totally free, real easy to use. So obviously this thing is going to be 3D printed. So I did do a few test prints on it. And for this thing, I'm going to use a brand new printer. Well, brand new to me, that is. And it's this, the Anycubic Kobra X, who have kindly sponsored this video and obviously sent me this printer as well as some filament, which is great because I did do quite a few test bits first. So it was great to have the extra filament to make. I will leave links down below, guys, where you can get hold of this awesome printer. I say it is awesome because it is one of these ones. It's easy to set up. Comes in pretty much two parts. There obviously is instructions on how to set it up, so I'm not really going to explain how to set it up, but it is a case of just slotting one bit into the other and then putting some screws in. And that's kind of it, really. So you put some screws in some bits, there's a couple of screws you need to take out. These are just like lock-in plates to make sure that that bar, that arm thing there, doesn't sort of slide around. So yeah, a few screws in, a few screws out, plug in a few cables, and yeah, jobs are good, and it really is that simple, that easy. There's a couple of little arms here. I found that these arms, these are pretty cool because obviously this thing can hold 4 spools of filament. So if you are into sort of doing the multicolor sort of prints, yeah, this has got you covered. And obviously there's 4 spools, and then obviously 4 tubes that go into the main sort of hot end. But obviously, as you'll notice, whenever I print things, I typically print in grey. The reason for that is it shows up well on camera, and pretty much everything I do print gets painted. So there's no real need for me to have the extra colours. But that doesn't mean I don't use those top loaders, because you'll see in a minute I do. So yeah, so I've got obviously going to use grey. This thing calibrates itself. It is a case of push a couple of buttons, and yeah, it's ready to go. Again, very simple, very easy. And if I can do it, yeah, you can do it. So say, yeah, I use grey spools, say mainly because it does show up better on the pictures. So I'm going to use 2 on this. But as you can see, I've got one here. Hasn't got a lot left, and this is why it's great that it does have this ability to hold more than 1 spool. Because what you can do is you can set it up so that when 1 spool's empty, it then reverts and goes on to another spool, which is awesome because it means obviously you don't have to mess about. Prints aren't going to sort of stop halfway, because this thing, it will just go from 1 spool to the next. So say, even though I'm not using this for the multicolors, this is awesome for me to use because, yeah, I can print big things, which is pretty cool. So I've made my file, I've made my STL. It is a case of simply dragging it in to the slicing software that comes with obviously Anycubic. So it is all easy to use. It's a case of sliding it in. There are a few adjustments you can make, obviously, to the layer height. This is kind of the only thing I ever touch. And for mine, because I'm doing obviously a rough draft, because I'm just doing a little tester here. So before printing like the whole box out, I thought I would do like a smaller layer just to sort of check that I've made my measurements right. As they say, measure twice, cut once. In this case, it was measure once, print twice. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm saying. Yeah, and this thing, obviously, you can send it straight from your computer to this device, which is pretty cool. You can link your phone to it as well, so you can send things from your phone, which is awesome. But obviously, everything I do, yeah, pretty much comes from my computer. And yeah, push a button, and away it goes. And again, guys, so I've done nothing to this machine other than obviously put a few screws in to sort of connect one part to the other. I've changed nothing in the slicing software. It is just a case of, yeah, I let it do what it does. And as you can see, yeah, it was absolutely perfect. Obviously, I sped this bit up. It does go fast. It doesn't go this fast. Also, just to mention, the link that I do have down below is an affiliate link for me for Amazon, which basically means you don't pay any more. But obviously, if you do use my link, then I might get a couple of pennies come back, which is obviously a good win-win for me. And currently, this is at the price of £260, which I think is an absolute bargain for a print of this sort of caliber. Say it's a nice, decent sort of build plate there. Works, say, really, really well. Again, guys, obviously, I'm the typical kind of guy who buys things, likes them to do what they do, and to just play with them. If you want a lot more detailed information, I would recommend going and watching Foulhammer's video on this, because obviously he does do a lot more the technical side. I'm more I want it to plug and play, and as you can see, yeah, first print, come out, absolutely perfect. Nice corners there, nice straight edges, nothing sort of come up from the plates, and yeah, it looks beautiful. Now to see though if my measurements are correct and this thing fits. Yeah, but luckily you can see it does. But yeah, this is why I wanted to print out a small little bit first, just to make sure I hadn't. So I want everything to be nice and snug and close. But obviously, sometimes when you try and make things snug and close, you can make them a bit too snug and a bit too close. But yeah, all the important bits were fitting in very nice. So it was then a case of going back to the Anycubic slicing software and taking in the full size main box that I've made. So the great thing about this is obviously I can print the boxes separately and print obviously quite a few of them, and then print the top bits as and when I need them. As I say, you'll see later on that I do make the 4 main heroes, or the 4 original sort of heroes, but these the front covers can be made for any of the other extra heroes that you can get. So as you can see, when it was printing the full box, yeah, that small little spool did run out. Unfortunately, I forgot to tell it to go to the second spool. So basically, there's a little option you click just to say when one runs out, go to the next. So I forgot about that bit. But what is clever is that spool, obviously, it chucks out the last little bit. So in this case, I did have to push a button just to sort of say go to the next spool. But now I've clicked the button that says go to the next spool. Yeah, any future prints, when one does run out, it will automatically go to the next, which is great. So yeah, this was a bit of user error. Which isn't too surprised. As I say, I don't really read instructions. I don't really get in depth on machines. It's kind of like a car. I get in a car, I just want to drive it. I don't need to know how it works or any of that other gubbins. Yeah, and that's how I like my printers to just work nice and simple, which this does. As I say, it is great. It is just so simple. So as you can see, yeah, it's on the second spool there, which is just awesome. So yeah, now I've got the full size one printed out. Again, we'll just make sure this is where I was just making sure every time I did something different. I say because when I was making this box in Tinkercad, there were so many little changes I made, and then in bits I added. I did like making the outer edge look like it was bits of paper, having to cut out loads of little bits to give it that sort of paper edge. Then obviously I thought about the magnets that went in this, just so when you do shut the door or the front cover, it doesn't swing open when you pick it up. So if it swings open, everything's just going to fall out. So yeah, good old magnets. Obviously use the magnets for the person there. Again, just to make sure he doesn't rattle about. As you can see, he needs painting because unfortunately, I don't know what I've done with the original heroes that came with the first sort of box set or the box set that I've got. Yeah, I need to sort of have a good old search. So magnets, easiest way to put them in. You can't quite see because there's tons of glue on the end of these sticks, but I've got magnets on the end of these little white sticks, different polarities. Obviously, there's only two different polarities. But yeah, so this way I know that if I use the black end one and put them in the books, then I can use the red end one. Well, I say it's red end. You can't quite see it's red end. The red end one goes in the front covers. So I haven't glued them. I have just literally pushed them in and made it nice and snug. So say this one, it did. That's a black one. This one does have a red end, but it's got so much glue on it, you can't quite see it. But it does still pick up the magnets really well. And this way, by using the two different sort of things, I know I'm putting the right magnets on, and they're going to attract rather than repel, just like that. So they attract, and that is just a case of them putting some glue along the sort of spine, I guess, of the book, just to sort of keep that nice and closed. So these are made, so you don't need any supports. They just literally print off as they are, which is pretty cool. And I say, if you did want to get hold of the books, drop me a message. I'll leave my email obviously down below. So I will be selling these, possibly on eBay. I'm not too sure where I'm going to sell them yet. But say the actual files for these, yeah, if you become a patron or you are a patron, then you'll be able to get hold of these. So as you can see, yeah, the box itself is obviously always the same. It's just the front cover that I've made differently for each of the heroes. So I've gone with just the original 4. So obviously there's going to be 4 of these books. Inside, yeah, exactly the same. But say how I've made these, I can make any of the heroes well into one of these, which is pretty cool. So yeah, love how these look. Obviously, when they're all together, this is how I imagined this: is making obviously quite a few of these, having them stacked in a row on my bookshelf of obviously all the HeroQuest add-ons and all that. I think it's just a nice way of keeping each of the heroes individual, or you can make these for your players and give them out to them, which is pretty cool. So one thing I did sort of forget about when I was making these, and that is when they are in a line, you can't see which book is which person. So I then 3D printed off some little bits, and I printed these on the Anycubic Photon P1. Great little printer, obviously resin printer. Yeah, so printed these off, and then obviously as you can see, just stuck them on. Just because I say this is one of these things I didn't quite think about when I was making the books. It's only when I had them all lined up together that I thought, oh yeah, you can't see or tell which one's which. Even though you'll see in a minute, I do paint these all different colours. So the colours could give it away, but I think it is nice just having that little kind of like label on the side, as you would have on a normal book. And sort of labels, I thought, well, as well as making the heroes, I could also do this for the enemies, the mobs, the monsters, but make them a bit different. So rather than having all the cards inside, it literally is just the miniatures. So to say, literally, these boxes are so simple. It is a case of I've made a box, and then you can cut out sections inside. which is great because it means I can make these. I'm going to make a box for the little goblins, and obviously with them because they are shorter, I'll probably better get like 4 rows in a box. But yeah, I thought it was quite a good idea to sort of keep the monsters in there as well. I say because I really want the idea of like lots of books. So yeah, each book will rather hold a hero or it'll hold a load of the monsters, which is pretty cool. So simple painting, yeah. I painted them in white first, or tried to just paint the edges of the book white first, because obviously that's going to be the paper. And then to paint these, I'm keeping it real simple. I've been using Colourforge primer now for about 4 years. Really love it. Obviously, I always use the black because I do the dry brushing sort of thing on top. But the great thing with the Colourforge is they do a ton of colours. You can see I picked out some colours I was going to use, and then I thought about it and I thought, no, I'm going to do some different colours. So yeah, so these are primers. I basically primed each of these books, and this is how they've come out. And again, I just love the fact they are a little bit different in look, but they look great on the shelf, and that's kind of what I really wanted was these obviously look really good, but be functional because obviously they are going to hold all my my bits and pieces inside. So I masked off the white edge because obviously I didn't want to get that done. So yeah, it didn't take too long at all to get them looking like this. Then I thought I'd go one stage further and, well, paint the actual fronts of all of them. And I'm really pleased, yeah, how they've come out. And so the fact that I can obviously make loads more of these for the other heroes and a load of the other monsters as well really does mean I can have a bookshelf of, well, these HeroQuest fake looking books that hide a nice little secret and a great way of storing your miniatures and obviously the dice and all the important cards and everything, which I think is pretty cool. Don't forget to check out the link down below to the Cobra X. And say if you do use my link, that would be awesome. It does give me a few pennies back, which obviously go towards helping me, well, make more and more videos. Big shout out and thank you to all the lovely patrons. And I say I will be putting the files for these boxes over on my Patreon page very soon. You guys take care. See you in the next one. Bye now.